Yep, you're listening to Business Podcasting Made Easy, the influencer's formula, where you're going to get a roadmap to instant authority and thought leadership with a podcast that you're proud of. We record and broadcast on the IBGR network, International Business Growth Radio. This is episode number 19. Today we are talking about to script or not to script your podcast, or part C, option C. To script or not to script your podcast, or option C. I'm Donna Cundy, co-founder of the IBGR network. Yep, I'm a global radio authority and podcast expert, and the producer of about 14,000 podcasts. That's quite a lot of podcasts to be listening to.
It certainly is. Good job over there. And I'm Ben
Thanks.
Joya. I'm a big fan of option C. I'm a 3-time international bestselling author, and my teachings have reached more than 50,000 people worldwide, right? And I did that by leveraging my book, leveraging my message. And that's what we are helping you to do with your podcast, to help you get your podcast done 13 minutes at a time in as little as 13 weeks, right? In just 13 weeks, if you follow the roadmap to a T. So follow that roadmap at influencersformula.com. And if you would like some help from some other human beings like Donna and me, right, reach out to us to support you with your business podcast at ibgr.info, ibgr.info. And that leads us to our fabulous friend, Martin Sheen, actor extraordinaire and many other things in our lives, who says, and I absolutely love this as we speak about scripting today, the line between spontaneity and stupidity can be very thin.
Yeah, it's so
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we're gonna be going into that one a lot, aren't we?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. But why is this important? Let's start with that. I think because becoming a person worth listening to, you want to do this by engendering trust, by knowing exactly how to communicate clearly and still sound authentic. And that's why we're putting in this little teaser of option C for this whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's, funny how we just came from talking about fear a little while ago in a previous episode, right? Or 2 previous episodes ago, right? And I know a lot of people, myself included at times, who have scripted things down to a T, right? And there's a time and a place for that, and I'm a big fan of that for certain situations, like if you're giving your TED talk, your TEDx talk, right?
Yeah.
Script it to a T, practice that mofo, to death, right? And then deliver it. But over here, we want to take a little bit different approach. And for some people, this is a bit different approach of a different kind of scripting. So redefining the word script, right? I think we need to start there, Donna, right? Because we're really walking that line, and I hope effectively, between spontaneous and planning things out. And this is such a powerful thing, I think for the listeners here, and literally can save years of activity in your business.
Yeah, thank you for setting it up that way, Ben, because it's really, podcasting is edutainment. And when we're talking about business podcasting, it can get so easy to go into teaching mode and bore people to tears. And if they're bored, they're not going to listen. If they're not going to listen, there's no transformation. And so what we're putting in here is this whole new idea of what the scripting is. There's core elements that get scripted out, and then there's mapping of 5 content elements. The 5 content elements we've done in our several previous shows, definitely on episode 13, where we talk about the hook, the why, the what you need to know, the what you need to do, and the take action. Those are the teaching moments, if you will, but they get sandwiched in between these core elements that set you up as that credible authority and that likable expert.
Yeah. I love that there's, a scaffolding or architecture here in the mix.
Yep.
Sorry,
Gotta
coughing.
love the mute button. We're going to go into that mic etiquette coming up next week, by the way.
Exactly. As I'm choking here in San Francisco for just a moment. Thank you. Thank you, listeners, for your patience. I'm now back. Yeah, but just to have a scaffolding or an architecture, right? That you have these content pieces, the hook, the why, the what, etc. Right. And then you also have these, or these content elements, I think is the better way to say it, right? Which are essentially your show notes. And then you have these core elements, intros, CTAs, things like that, which give, the architecture, the cadence to what you're doing. So it really, suddenly we're now looking at just putting blocks of content into the right places. And over the weeks, many of those blocks are, if they're not exactly repeated, they're mostly repeated, and you're just changing out episode names and things like that.
Yeah, thank you for that, because you listen to the sign on, you get your signature as you go. You become your own persona, your own authority. For me, it's always I laugh, I giggle when I start every one. And I do that because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm talking to the world. And that's why I say hello to the world. And so your sign on really becomes what you're known for, that little piece to that. And your introduction is that 30 seconds or so right at the get-go, where people are going to make that decision. Do I want to listen more? Do I actually want to get into hear what this person has to say about this subject?
Right.
And we're saying to script that, to write it out.
Totally right. That big question is looming immediately. What's in it for me? Is this worth my time? Split-second decision making is happening. Some of it is unconscious, right? Like, what are you doing right in this moment? So Don, I appreciate you saying that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And transitions. So it's not just being thrown around from one thing to the next. The mind needs a little bit of a wander. You might hear when Ben and I are talking, we'll give a little story, and there are a little interjection that will take us, set it up into that next piece there. Anything else you want to say about transitions, Ben?
Yeah, I like to think of them as breadcrumbs or connecting the dots, which we've talked about in different ways in the past. But in this instance, it's, using actual phrases like, what this means to you is, right? Here's why you want to listen, right? Here's what's coming on this episode, right? Just very, very, just what's the word? They're helpful guideposts to bring your customer, client, listener, right? Like, I mean, it applies to podcasts. That's why I'm using all the words. Applies to podcasts, but you're taking a person on a journey, right? So imagine taking a child and holding, okay, let's go this way. Okay, watch your step. Okay, we're doing a version of that with those kind of transition statements.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. And the mind always wants to know why. Why are we doing this? Where are we going? And when you take, if the listener is confused at any given moment, they're not going to be listening to what you have to say. So the transitions really helps bring them along, knowing, oh, okay, why are you telling me this? Oh, I get it now. I get it. Yeah.
Exactly. And we're telling you all these things so you can either do your business podcast on your own by following the roadmap at influencersformula.com, or you can come do it with us, directly supporting you at ibgr.info. Once again, ibgr.info. And as you're hearing all of these things, remember, script it with show notes, right? So this is our own definition of the best way to do this, right? Use your core elements, use your content elements, which are your show notes, and let that be the path that you talk through, through your 13 minutes of time. And don't forget to set that timer.
And I love the way that you segued into that, Ben, because when you heard Ben say, subscribe to Influencers Formula, or if you hear either of us saying, if you want to work with us directly, that's a call to action. And it doesn't have to be a salesy sort of thing. We're kind of peeling back the curtain here in the Wizard of Oz and telling you which little elements go into this. There's risk that you can take to let people know in on that. But I wanted to just point out that yes, we are modeling this, and that there are calls to action, because we do want you to take action.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Donna. And I'd like to say one more thing about calls to action, right? I mean, I think we can all agree here, you, me, and all the listeners, that we can all agree here that, like, we have good, worthwhile things to bring to the world, right? Like that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we're hanging out at IBGR Network, right? Like because we're on, the same common page about, the service and the impact through the stuff that we offer, right? And you keep hearing Donna say it, right? People need your stuff. People need what you have right now, if not yesterday, if not 10 years ago, right? So why would you not make that invitation to help them? Why would you not make that invitation to serve? Why would you not make that invitation to do something that you absolutely love doing and that you're freaking good at,
Yeah.
right? And that people want the invitation to, so they can come hang out with you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I sometimes like, how do I reach this person? I have a question, and if the call to action isn't there, it leaves me wanting more and saying, well, did they really want to help me? So yeah, there's definitely that. As we start to wrap up this episode, I want to invite you to create your own script, your outline, using your show notes. You think about your intro is scripted. It's 1 minute. That's scripted. Your content is about 7.5 minutes. And that's that guided piece that we've talked about, episode 13.
Right.
You're called.
Yeah. So Donna, I just got so excited, right? Your content is only 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So your why hook, why, all those things, right? Like that's more or less that 7 minutes of space. You can do this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead and write out your call to action and your outro, how you end your show. Write those out. You want to use your core elements. You want to script it with the show notes. You're just going to write some guide points. You want to stay on point, stay on message. Don't get lost in your podcast adventure. You do that because you write it out. We have a template. We might even want to share with you if you let us know at ibgr.info that you're interested in something like that. But write out your core elements. That's what this one is all about. We do want some of it scripted. We do want some of it with just some talking points so that you can stay authentic and you still get your message across and have that transformation. Ending up episode 19 now, to script or not to script your podcast, or option C on the IBGR network. Make sure you subscribe to the show at influencersformula.com. I'm Donna Cundy. We're going to come back soon.
It's Ben Joya. So glad you're here. And yeah, we're a big fan of option C. So we'll see you again in a little bit.
One more coming. Don't go anywhere. Bye for now.